Do you feel exhausted every morning despite getting enough sleep? Are you constantly battling digestive issues and low energy throughout the day? You're not alone. Millions of people unknowingly damage their health with 3 simple morning habits. Hello, I am Dr. NiHaixia, a retired traditional Chinese medicine doctor with 30 years of clinical experience. Today I'll reveal the 3 morning habits that are aging you faster and show you exactly how to change them. I'll share 8 life-changing insights that can add decades to your life and energy to your days. What I'm about to tell you goes against everything you think you know about healthy mornings. Before we begin, if you want more practical longevity and health tips, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Share your experiences in the comments. It will help other viewers on their wellness journey. The first hidden danger is drinking water immediately upon waking. I know this sounds crazy because every health expert tells you to hydrate first thing in the morning. But let me explain why this advice is actually harming your body. Picture this. You stumble to the kitchen half awake and gulp down a large glass of cold water, thinking you're doing something healthy. Your throat feels dry, so it seems natural to drink water right away. This is exactly what most of my patients did before they came to see me. They thought they were kickstarting their metabolism and flushing out toxins. The reality is far different. When you drink water immediately after waking, especially cold water, you're essentially shocking your digestive system. Think of your stomach as a gentle fire that needs to slowly warm up in the morning. Your body has been resting for 7 to 9 hours. Your digestive organs are in a dormant state, and your yang energy is just beginning to rise naturally. When you pour cold water into this delicate system, it's like throwing ice water on a small flame. In traditional Chinese medicine, we understand that your spleen and stomach work together to process everything you consume. The spleen transforms food and liquids into energy your body can use. But when you shock these organs with cold water first thing in the morning, you damage their ability to function properly. Over time, this leads to poor digestion, chronic fatigue, and a weakened immune system. Let me tell you about Mrs. Chen, a 45-year-old accountant. Water shocks had gradually worn down her body's natural ability to process food and maintain energy. The transformation was remarkable. Within 1 month of stopping this habit, Mrs. Chen's energy levels doubled. She no longer needed afternoon naps. Her chronic digestive issues disappeared completely. She told me she felt like she had gotten her life back, all from one simple change. Understanding why this shocks your system can prevent decades of digestive damage and chronic fatigue. Your body needs time to transition from sleep to wakefulness. This isn't just about being alert mentally. Your organs need to wake up gradually too. Starting tomorrow, wait 15 to 20 minutes after waking before drinking any water. When you do drink water, make sure it's warm, not cold. Room temperature is better than ice cold, but warm water is ideal. This simple change allows your digestive fire to kindle naturally and supports your body's wisdom instead of fighting against it. The second crucial insight is understanding your body's yang energy. Most people have never heard of this concept, but it's the key to understanding why you feel tired all the time. You might feel like your internal battery is always running low, no matter how much you sleep or eat. This constant fatigue isn't normal, and it's not something you just have to accept. Yang energy is your body's warming, activating force. Think of it as your inner furnace that keeps you warm, energized, and alive. When you wake up in the morning, this energy is naturally starting to build. It's like the sun rising and gradually warming the earth. Your yang energy follows the same pattern, slowly increasing as your body prepares for the day ahead. In my 30 years of practice, I've seen thousands of patients who unknowingly destroy their yang energy every single morning. They don't realize they're sabotaging their own vitality with simple choices that seem harmless. The tragedy is that once you damage your yang energy repeatedly, it becomes harder and harder to restore. Learning to protect your yang energy in the morning can boost your immunity and vitality for the entire day. This isn't just ancient wisdom. I've watched patient after patient transform their health by making this one change. Their energy levels stabilize, they get sick less often, and they feel genuinely alive again. Let me share the story of Michael, a 32-year-old mark for alertness. Every single one of these choices was extinguishing his internal fire before it had a chance to build. Traditional medical tests showed nothing wrong with Michael. His blood work was normal. His doctor told him he was healthy and just needed to exercise more. But I could see that his yang energy was severely depleted. His pulse was weak and slow. His tongue was pale with a thick coating. These are clear signs that the body's warming energy is not functioning properly. I explained to Michael that his morning routine was like pouring water on a campfire every day and then wondering why he couldn't stay warm. His body was trying to build energy naturally, but he was actively working against this process. The solution wasn't more caffeine or more exercise. He needed to stop damaging his yang energy first. Within 2 months of following my advice, Michael's colleagues noticed he seemed 10 years younger. His skin had better color. He stopped wearing sweaters in the office during summer. Most importantly, his energy remained steady throughout the entire day. He no longer experienced that afternoon crash that had plagued him for years. The change was so dramatic that Michael's friends started asking what supplements he was taking. They couldn't believe the transformation came from such simple adjustments. But this is the power of working with your body's natural energy instead of against it. Avoid anything cold in your first hour awake. This means cold drinks, cold foods, even cold air from air conditioning. Give your yang energy the chance to build naturally, and you'll be amazed at how much better you feel. The third morning mistake is eating breakfast too early. I know this goes against everything you've been taught about breakfast being the most important meal of the day. But forcing yourself to eat when your body isn't ready causes more harm than good. You probably force yourself to eat breakfast even when you're not hungry, because health experts have drilled this idea into your head. Your digestive system has its own natural rhythm, just like your sleep cycle. When you wake up, your stomach is still in rest mode. The digestive fire I mentioned earlier needs time to kindle before it's ready to process food. Think of it like trying to cook on a stove that hasn't heated up yet. The food won't cook properly, and you'll waste energy from less food, and you'll avoid the digestive discomfort that comes from forced eating. Let me tell you about James, a 44-year-old businessman who perfectly illustrates this problem. For 20 years, James ate breakfast at exactly 6 a.m. every morning before his commute. He would force down toast, eggs, and orange juice even though he felt nauseous most mornings. James thought he was being disciplined and healthy by maintaining this routine. The problem was that James never felt genuinely hungry at 6 a.m. His stomach was still waking up, but he ignored these signals because he believed breakfast was non-negotiable. This forced eating led to chronic acid reflux that plagued him for years. He constantly felt bloated and uncomfortable. His digestion was poor throughout the entire day, not just in the morning. James had tried every antacid and digestive aid on the market. He even considered surgery for his acid reflux. His gastroenterologist found nothing structurally wrong, but couldn't explain why James suffered so much digestive distress. The answer was simple. He was eating before his body was ready. I taught James to wait until his body naturally felt hungry before eating anything. This usually happened around 8 a.m., sometimes even later. At first, he was terrified he would be weak or unfocused without his early breakfast. The opposite happened. When he finally ate, he enjoyed his food more and felt satisfied with smaller portions. Within 3 weeks, James's stomach problems vanished completely. His acid reflux disappeared without any medication. He had more energy throughout the morning because his body wasn't struggling to digest unwanted food. Most surprisingly, he actually felt more alert and focused during his early morning meetings. The key insight here is that hunger is your body's way of telling you it's ready to receive and process food. When you ignore this signal and eat by the clock instead, you're working against your body's wisdom. Your digestive system becomes confused and eventually weakened by this constant override of its natural signals. Some mornings you might feel hungry 30 minutes after waking. Other days it might take an hour or more. This variation is completely normal. Your body's needs change based on how well you slept, what you ate the day before, and your stress levels. Learning to tune into these subtle signals takes practice. Wake up. Your body is in a delicate transition state. Your muscles are still cold and stiff from hours of inactivity. Your joints haven't had time to naturally lubricate themselves. Your cardiovascular system is slowly adjusting from its resting state to active mode. Forcing intense exercise during this vulnerable period puts enormous stress on your entire system. The fitness industry promotes this idea that more intensity equals better results. They tell you to do burpees, jumping jacks, or sprint intervals first thing in the morning. What they don't understand is that this approach depletes your yang energy when it should be building. You're essentially forcing your body to spend energy it hasn't had time to generate. Gentle morning movement actually builds more sustainable energy than intense exercise. When you move slowly and mindfully in the morning, you're supporting your body's natural awakening process. This creates energy that lasts throughout the entire day, rather than burning through your reserves in the first hour. Let me share the story of Sarah, a 38-year-old marathon runner who came to me 2 years ago. Sarah was dedicated to her fitness routine and prided herself on her discipline. Every morning at 5:30 a.m., she would roll out of bed and immediately start a 45-minute high-intensity workout. Her routine included jumping jacks, mountain climbers, and intense cardio intervals. Sarah couldn't understand why she felt exhausted all day, despite being in excellent physical shape. She would finish her morning workout feeling accomplished, but by 10 a.m., she was already crashing. Her energy levels plummeted, and she needed multiple energy drinks just to function at work. By evening, she was too tired to enjoy time with her family. Her running performance was also declining, despite her intense training. Sarah's race times were getting slower, and she was getting injured more frequently. She came to me because she was frustrated and confused. How could someone so fit feel so tired all the time? The problem was that Sarah's morning routine was like revving a car engine before it had time to warm up. She was demanding peak performance from her body when it was still transitioning from sleep mode. This constant stress was wearing down her system and actually making her less fit over time. I explained to Sarah that her body needed gentle awakening movements, not intense exercise shocks. We replaced her, though her morning workouts were much gentler. Sarah moved her intense training sessions to late morning or early afternoon, when her body was naturally ready for that level of exertion. Her race times improved, and she stopped getting injured. Her colleagues noticed that she seemed calmer and more focused at work. The gentle morning routine had created a positive ripple effect throughout her entire day. This doesn't mean you should avoid exercise completely. Physical activity is important for health and longevity. The key is timing and intensity. Your body will perform much better when you give it time to naturally prepare for exertion. Replace intense morning exercise with gentle stretching, deep breathing, or light walking for the first hour. Save your high-intensity workouts for when your body has fully awakened and is ready for that level of demand. The fifth game changer is following the proper awakening sequence. Most people rush through their morning routine without any structure or awareness. You probably jump from task to task, always feeling like you're playing catch-up with your day before it even begins. This chaotic approach sets a stressful tone that follows you for hours. Your body craves rhythm and predictability, especially during the vulnerable transition from sleep to wakefulness. When you create a structured morning sequence, you're giving your nervous system the gentle guidance it needs to function optimally. Think of it as teaching your body how to wake up properly, instead of shocking it into alertness. A structured 30-minute morning sequence can set the tone for sustained energy and mental clarity all day. This isn't about adding more tasks to your morning. It's about organizing the awakening process in a way that supports your natural biology. When you follow this sequence consistently, your body learns to anticipate each step and prepares accordingly. The sequence works because it respects the gradual nature of awakening. Just like the sun doesn't instantly reach full brightness, your body needs time to transition through different levels of alertness. Each phase of the sequence builds upon the previous one, creating momentum rather than resistance. Let me tell you about Linda, a 50-year-old high school teacher who transformed her entire life with this approach. Linda used to wake up to a blaring alarm, immediately check her phone for messages, rush to the bathroom, gulp coffee while getting dressed, and race out the door. She always arrived at work sleeping despite being exhausted. Her doctor wanted to prescribe medication, but Linda felt like there had to be a better way. That's when she decided to try my morning sequence. I taught Linda a simple 30-minute structure that she could follow every day. The first 10 minutes involved gentle breathing exercises and light stretching while still in bed. This allowed her nervous system to gradually shift from sleep mode to gentle alertness. She focused on deep, slow breaths and simple movements, like rotating her ankles and stretching her arms overhead. The second 10 minutes consisted of slightly more active movements. Linda would get up slowly, do some gentle neck rolls, shoulder shrugs, and light walking around her bedroom. This phase helped her circulation improve gradually and allowed her muscles to warm up naturally. She avoided looking at her phone or thinking about her daily tasks during this time. The final 10 minutes included sipping warm water slowly while sitting quietly. Linda used this time for gentle reflection or gratitude practice. She would think about 3 things she appreciated in her life, or set a positive intention for the day. This created mental clarity and emotional stability before she began her regular morning tasks. The results were dramatic. Within 2 weeks, Linda's students and colleagues noticed her calm, focused demeanor. She handled classroom disruptions with patience and wisdom instead of frustration. Her stress levels dropped significantly, and her blood pressure readings improved without any medication changes. Linda discovered that this structured beginning created a ripple effect throughout her entire day. She made better decisions, communicated more clearly, and had energy left over for evening activities with her family. The 30 minutes she invested in proper awakening saved her hours of stress and exhaustion later. The beauty of this sequence is its simplicity. You don't need special equipment or extensive training. You just need to commit to treating your awakening process with respect and intentionality. Follow this sequence: 10 minutes breathing and stretching, 10 minutes light movement, 10 minutes warm water and reflection. This structured approach will transform not just your mornings, but your entire day. The 6th insight is choosing foods that build rather than drain your morning energy. You probably eat what you think are healthy breakfast foods, but still feel sluggish and heavy afterward. Like making your body do extra work when it's already trying to wake up. Traditional Chinese medicine teaches us that different foods have different energetic properties. Some foods warm and energize your system, while others cool and slow it down. In the morning, when your digestive fire is just beginning to kindle, you want foods that support this natural warming process, not foods that extinguish it. Warm, easily digestible foods can transform your energy levels and improve your metabolism. When you choose foods that align with your body's needs, digestion becomes effortless. You'll notice that you feel satisfied with smaller portions and maintain steady energy throughout the morning, without crashes or cravings. Let me share the story of David, a 22-year-old college student who struggled with constant fatigue despite being young and otherwise healthy. David's breakfast routine seemed perfectly normal by modern standards. Every morning, he ate a large bowl of cold cereal with ice-cold milk, drank fresh orange juice straight from the refrigerator, and often added a Greek yogurt with frozen berries. David thought he was making healthy choices. The cereal was whole grain, the yogurt had probiotics, and the orange juice provided vitamin C. On paper, this breakfast looked nutritious and balanced. But David constantly fell asleep in his morning classes, despite getting 8 hours of sleep every night. His professors noticed his struggle to stay alert, and his grades were suffering. The problem was that every single item in David's breakfast was cold and difficult to digest. The cold milk required significant energy to warm up in his stomach. The acidic orange juice on an empty stomach was irritating his digestive lining. The frozen berries were essentially ice cubes that his body had to melt before processing. His entire breakfast was working against his natural energy-building process. I explained to David that his breakfast was like throwing cold water on a campfire every morning. His body was trying to build digestive fire and energy, but he was actively cooling down his system with every bite and sip. No wonder he felt tired and unfocused in his classes. We replaced David's cold breakfast with warm alternatives that supported his digestive fire. Instead of cold cereal, he started eating warm oatmeal cooked with a small piece of fresh ginger. The ginger helped stimulate his digestive system and improved significantly over the semester. He was able to focus better on his studies and felt mentally sharp during exams. His friends started asking what supplements he was taking because the change in his energy and alertness was so obvious. They were surprised to learn that simple breakfast changes had made such a profound difference. The key principle is supporting your digestive fire rather than extinguishing it. This doesn't mean your food needs to be burning hot, but it should be at least room temperature and preferably warm. Foods that have been gently cooked or warmed are much easier for your system to process. Choose warm foods like oatmeal with ginger and honey, warm herbal tea, or even simple warm soup instead of cold cereals, smoothies, or raw fruits for your morning meal. The seventh longevity secret is protecting your spleen and stomach relationship. You might experience afternoon energy crashes, bloating, or irregular digestion patterns without understanding the root cause. In traditional Chinese medicine, we see the spleen and stomach as a partnership that controls your entire digestive system and energy production. When this partnership is damaged, it affects every aspect of your health. Your spleen doesn't just filter blood like Western medicine teaches. In Chinese medicine, the spleen transforms everything you eat and drink into usable energy for your body. It's like the manager of a factory that processes raw materials into finished products. Your stomach receives and breaks down food, while your spleen transforms it into the building blocks your body needs to function. When you damage this spleen-stomach relationship with poor morning habits, you create problems that extend far beyond digestion. Your immune system weakens because the spleen also manages your body's defense mechanisms. Your energy becomes unstable because the spleen can't efficiently convert food into sustained vitality. Even your mental clarity suffers because your brain isn't receiving the steady fuel it needs. A healthy spleen-stomach system is the foundation of strong immunity and natural weight management. When these organs work together properly, your body naturally maintains an ideal weight without extreme dieting. You get sick less often because your immune defenses are strong. Most importantly, you have the steady energy needed to enjoy life fully. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 68-year-old retiree. Cold yogurt with raw granola and drink cold orange juice. Her morning walk was often cut short because she felt heavy and uncomfortable after this breakfast. What Margaret didn't realize was that her morning habits were overwhelming her digestive system and weakening her spleen function. The ice water was extinguishing her digestive fire before it could build. The cold foods required enormous energy to process, leaving little energy available for immune function. Her spleen was working overtime just to handle her breakfast, which left her vulnerable to infections. When I examined Margaret, the signs of spleen weakness were obvious. Her tongue was pale and swollen with tooth marks along the edges. Her pulse was weak and slow. She had loose stools and felt tired after eating, both classic symptoms of spleen dysfunction. Her frequent colds were actually a secondary problem caused by the weakened spleen-stomach relationship. I explained to Margaret that her spleen was like an overworked employee trying to do an impossible job. Every morning, she was giving it tasks that were too difficult and energy-draining. No wonder her immune system couldn't keep up with basic protection duties. We completely transformed Margaret's morning routine to support rather than stress her spleen-stomach function. She learned to wait before drinking any water, and when she did drink, it was warm tea instead of ice water. Her breakfast became warm oatmeal with cooked apples and gentle spices that aided digestion. The results were remarkable and sustained. After 6 months of following my morning protocol, Margaret went from 8 colds per year to 0. She lost 15 pounds naturally without any dieting because her spleen could finally process food efficiently. Her energy levels increased dramatically, and she was able to enjoy longer walks and social activities. Most impressively, Margaret's overall vitality improved so much that her friends started asking for her secret. At age 72 today, she has more energy than people 20 years younger. Her doctor calls her health transformation remarkable for her age. Treat your first hour awake as sacred time for your digestive system to naturally activate. This simple respect for your spleen-stomach relationship can transform your health in ways you never imagined possible. The 8th and final insight is how these small changes compound into decades of added life. Fire, and honor your body's natural awakening process. You're preserving the fundamental forces that keep you young and vital. This isn't wishful thinking. I've watched this transformation happen in patient after patient over 3 decades of practice. The compound effect of these changes is remarkable. Each morning that you follow these principles, you're making a deposit in your health bank account. Each day that you damage your system with cold water, forced eating, and intense exercise, you're making a withdrawal. Over months and years, these daily choices determine whether you age gracefully or struggle with declining health. Let me share the story of Helen, one of my most inspiring patients. Helen started these morning practices when she was 40 years old, following a health scare that motivated her to change her lifestyle completely. She had been living the typical rushed morning routine for years, drinking ice water, forcing down breakfast, and doing intense workouts despite feeling exhausted. When Helen first came to me, she looked older than her 40 years. Her energy was inconsistent, her digestion was poor, and she caught frequent colds. She was worried about following the same path as her mother, who had struggled with chronic health problems throughout her later years. Helen wanted to take control of her aging process while she still could. I taught Helen the same principles I've shared with you today. She learned to wait before drinking water and to make it warm when she did. She discovered how to listen for genuine hunger signals instead of eating by the clock. Most importantly, she learned to treat her morning awakening as a sacred process that deserved respect and gentleness. Today, Helen is 70 years old, and her vitality is remarkable. She has more energy now than she did in her 40s. Her skin glows with health, her posture is straight and strong, and her mental clarity is sharp. People consistently guess her age as at least 15 years younger than her actual age. Her doctor regularly comments that her lab results look like those of someone decades younger. But the most impressive part isn't how Helen looks. It's how she feels and what she's able to do. She travels extensively, learns new languages, and maintains an active social life. She hasn't had a serious illness in over 20 years. Protect your young energy by avoiding all cold substances during your first hour awake. Third, wait for natural hunger signals rather than forcing breakfast at arbitrary times. Fourth, Replace intense morning exercise with gentle movement, like stretching and deep breathing. Fifth, follow a structured 30-minute awakening sequence that honors your body's transition from sleep. Sixth, choose warming foods that support your digestive fire instead of cold foods that extinguish it. Seventh, treat your first hour as sacred time for your spleen-stomach system to activate naturally. Eighth, trust that these small daily changes create the compound effect of extended, healthy lifespan. Start with just one change tomorrow morning. Your future self will thank you for beginning this journey toward vitality and longevity today.